In your perspective, Damien, what clicked for him offensively that kind of allowed him to kind of reach the next level in his development?
Shoot, the experience. He was playing with
Hmm.
guys who, were really good. I mean, our first crop of guys, we had a ton of talent in our building. And all of these guys had, for the most part, had pro potential. And I think,
Hmm.
when you're around that, same thing when him being around, the guys, the organizations and teams that he came from when he came to the States. Similar to
Hmm.
that, you adapt, right? Like, or you just get left behind. And when you're in the gym with Jazion Gortman and Tyler Smith and Amina Nassar Thompson, Ethan Almanza, like the Bryson
Hmm.
Warrens of the world, like Jalen Martins. Like, and when you're around those guys every day and you got to compete against guys who really take their craft serious and work as hard as they do, you adapt, and you grow into that environment. I think at first it was a little uncomfortable, but that in itself, we all grow when we're uncomfortable the most. So
Hmm.
I think just being around those guys every day and being in our environment and us demanding the things that we demanded out of him, it helped
Hmm.
him grow a lot and mature a lot more in his game. And he learned to be more aggressive. He gained some confidence in that aggression. He started to get in the weight room a lot more. So I think that was and then you start to see your success, right? Like when all those things start happening, you start to see, how successful you can be, and you start to notice your reps are turning into like reality. I started to see his game kind of, grow and level up. And it was one of those things where it's like, oh, if I do these things, then I can do this, and I can be great at that, or whatever the case may be. And I think he just did a great job of adapting.
Yeah, you mentioned the physicality of the game and him going into that. It seems like that was the emphasis that you guys placed on his development. An area of growth that you guys really felt like he needed to hone in on to kind of realize his true potential. Is that just something you guys kind of keyed in on as soon as the end of the program? Like, hey, Alex, you have a lot of potential, but you're going to need some extra days in the weight room. You're going to need to, put on a little bit of weight. Is that kind of something that was there immediately in terms of that checklist of things you really wanted to get him to grow in during his time at OTE?
Yeah, I mean, with Alex, right? Like it's we had to push him because I don't think he even knew his own game. And
Mm-hmm.
we all
Right.
kept, we all told him every day, coaches, myself, I know, like we all would tell him that how good he was, if he worked at it and how good he can be, the things that he can achieve, um, and just like the places that he could go. Like you talk about a 7 foot guy that was that versatile, on both ends of the floor, man. You want to maximize that talent and get the most out of it. So I just think that constant messaging to him gave him a lot of confidence. And then once he started to do those things, like I was saying earlier, he started to see that success. He started to reap the benefits of his labor. And, he turned into one of our best players. He turned into probably the most versatile player that we've had, with the combination again of his size, his skill, and his work ethic. So
Mm-hmm.
constant pouring into him. That's what we do with all of our guys. Some listen more than others, but he really got it. He was one of those guys who he takes criticism well, and he was just always available, always ready to work, always wanting to get better, always asking questions. At first that was different from when he first got there because he was really shy. He was quiet, and
Yeah.
all
Hmm.
of a sudden he started to kind of turn a corner in that, and his personality started to show a little bit. So I think his game grew just from all of that, positive reinforcement.
It seems like with Alex, it's more than just his physical abilities. It's also, like you said, it's a lot of those intangibles, like
Yeah.
teachable, just willing to learn, willing to work hard. And those are some of the things I've been kind of hearing in the background of people that have spent time with him. Now that he's in this new environment in the NBA, like, hey, this guy is willing to work. He's willing to just listen to the constructive criticism and apply it to his game.
Well, I mean, we put him on a minute Sarr in our OTE finals, and he
Oh
guarded those
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Yeah, he guarded those guys probably better than anyone did in like on like the
Hmm.
biggest stage, right, when it mattered the most.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think defensively, he was always good. He was always very, instinctual defensively. Uses his length well. And he's just a guy that's hard to score on because of that. He can move his feet. He's also got really long arms, great timing. He doesn't really go for pump fakes a lot. So he's special defensively. And he's going to learn how to be a efficient scorer because Alex he wants to play the game the right way. And then in Washington, he's going to be put in positions quickly where he's going to have to do a lot, right? Because they're rebuilding and doing a lot of rebuilding around him. So offensively, it's going to happen. Right? Defensively is where he's going to be probably make the most impact, early.